That's what we think. That's what we say. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Psychic and the Doc. I'm Dr. Pat Baccili, and of course, I'm here with Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. And today is April Fool's Day, and I got to pay the rent.
It is.
I forgot I got to pay the rent.
And you know, what do they say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
What happens the third time? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's when you usually end up on trial. That's what under arrest. Yeah, this is an auspicious day for April Fools because
that's a big word.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I forgot you're a lawyer, though.
Well, I was doing some research. Where did April Fools come from? And it looks like about 400 or 500 years ago, when France went from the old Julian calendar to the newer Gregorian calendar, the first of the year fell at this time. So the people that were still celebrating or celebrated New Year's, people were calling them fools and making fun of them and playing jokes on them. So inadvertently, here we are 500 years later. So, but I think that what's really important about this particular show is we're talking about betrayal, fooling me. And last week, we did a show to honor Passover, which occurred on Sunday.
Yeah.
And today is Holy Thursday. And Holy Thursday, according to Christian tradition, it was a Passover dinner. It was a Passover Seder. And it was also the day that Judas Iscariot betrayed Jesus. And when you look at the concept of betrayal, our concept of hell, Dr. Pat, is pretty much shaped in many ways by Dante's Inferno. So 800 years ago, Dante wrote this long treatise, and there were 9 levels of hell, basically. And then the deepest, darkest level of hell is treachery. Why? Because it's betrayal by somebody you love, you trust. It doesn't come from an enemy. It doesn't come from a stranger. And some of the people in the deepest recesses of hell were Brutus, who betrayed Julius Caesar. And Brutus was purportedly Julius Caesar's illegitimate son. So his own son literally stabbed him in the back. And then there's also Cassius, who was Caesar's good friend, and Judas, who betrayed Jesus. So it's the great political and spiritual betrayals of all time. And for anyone who's been in a relationship that went sour with someone cheating on you, or you've been in a law firm or some type of business association with somebody that you trusted who you found out was stealing from you, it always hurts the most when that betrayal is so close to the heart.
Yeah. And, I think that, if you talk about betrayal at a very academic level, right, without those examples you just gave, Mark, what happens is we don't really get the depth, the emotional depth of it. We don't really get the woundedness from it. And also, we don't really get the range
Yeah.
by which a betrayal can happen. So when we talk about betrayal, right, and we talk about, this idea of April Fools, and I love what you said at the start. What are we looking at? Well, we're looking at what are those things that show up in your life, in our lives, that cause us to feel, oh my gosh, I can't count on you. I thought you would do dot, dot, dot.
Yeah.
I was expecting dot, dot, dot. And, I'm probably one of the few people, if you read stuff in the human potential movement, people say, don't expect expectations, really bad. Don't do. And to be honest with you, I don't know what the world would look like without expectations. So what's the real
Yeah.
issue with expectations? Is the issue with expectations from the beholder, the person that expecting it, or is the real issue with expectations about the other folks that you can't count on to deliver what they promised to give you?
Yeah. And that's where, now jumping in as a lawyer, that's why there's contracts.
Mm,
Contracts exist between people who can't really trust each other. And if you don't follow through on the expectations, there are consequences. But we're really not talking about contracts. We're talking about interpersonal relationships. And that's why, we are taking calls tonight. So people call in, and I'm looking forward to making connections between you and your loved ones in spirit. And then definitely we want Dr. Pat to give us her perspective as well, because that's what makes this show so unique. This is a double shot of healing. Because we say in the logo, extraordinary problems require extraordinary solutions, whether the answers
mhm.
or insights come from this side or the other side. And so that's what makes our show so unique. I mean, there's nothing else out there like it. So for those of you who do want to call in and talk to Dr. Pat and I, and whether you want a reading or not, that's fine. Maybe you want to share your story of betrayal. Call in at 1-800-930-2819.
The other thing I want to mention is, which is extremely important in the conversations of betrayal, or in the conversation of emotional well-being and health. This is April is National Alcohol Awareness Month. And this is a topic that I've taken on more and more on the Dr. Pat show and also on the Power Up show. Because if you're somebody like me and you've gone through a history and have buried 4 people in your family based on addiction, this is like up in your face. And so when somebody says this is National Alcohol Awareness Month, I'm always drawn to see how we are doing. And this is no April Fool's joke.
No.
This is one of those things where we really need to open our doors up to help people understand there might be another way. The increase in alcohol consumption and online buying is just through the roofs. And it's funny because, and it's not funny, it's funny and not funny, Mark, because I just saw a skit. I can't remember what show it was on, but I saw a skit, and the actor character had a bottle of vodka, and the little doggy was in her arm, and she's got the bottle of it, and the television show host is talking to her, and she's got the bottle, and ha ha ha.
Yeah.
No, not ha ha ha, right?
Yes.
But she was referencing what's going on in this pandemic. And so today's show is the good, the bad, and ugly about April 1st. What is the worst April 1st joke you had played on you? Did you ever have a joke played on you for April 1st?
No. No, you know why?
Oh
Because
my
I was always on guard, and I was like shields up,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah, I was thinking about that. Um, no,
No
usually I
pranksters?
was the one. I was the one
Now it
playing
comes out.
on people,
Okay.
calling them up and saying, this is the insurance company, and there's going to be a claim again. They're like, oh my God, nah, just kidding.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And there are some really bad pranks that people play on each other. I mean, they're not even like funny. They're just like, having your boss type up a resignation letter for you and handing it to you as a joke on April Fools. I mean, that's like not, stop that. Don't do that. But I shared today one of the pranks. I shared today one of the pranks that one of my friends did. And what is funny to me may not be funny to you. For example, like that comedy skit today with that actor who had that bottle of vodka and the little dog and was joking. That's a funny skit for some people. Not so funny if your partner in the next room has got that bottle of vodka sitting by the desk and doing a Zoom meeting for work. But we're
Right.
going to take calls. We've got a bunch of people calling in already. We're going to take calls. We're going to talk about how to become more aware, because this is the month of awareness. This
Yes.
is the month where we sort of crack the egg and we make a decision about that. And in that moment, we see what comes out and what's possible. When we come back from break, we're going to go right to the phones. We got a number of people calling in. So why don't we go ahead, Jacob, and take a short break? When we come back, we're going to hit the phones ASAP. Hey, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to The Psychic and the Doc. And here's what I want to say to everybody. If you want to reach out and get help, you just get a hold of the Sam Says line, 1-800-622-HELP, 1-800-622-HELP. 1-800-622-4357. That is 24-hour a day, 365-day treatment referral routing service. It will get you in to where you need to be. It is an important site. If you go to S as in Sam, AM, H as in Harry, S as in Sam, A.gov, you will also find that. And later on in the show, I will give you some additional information that has to do with an organization that Marty Mann started. But right now, we've got our April Fool's mojo going on. So what do we want to do, Miss Nork?
Let's take some calls, Dr.
All
Pat.
right. Jacob.
All right. First up, we've got Daniela from Florida. Daniela, you're on with the Psychic and the Doc.
Oh.
Hi, Daniela. You're
Hello.
live. You're live.
I am live. Well, I like to be live.
Good idea.
Means I'm alive, right?
It's a good idea.
Well, Mark,
how can we help you today?
Yeah. Is this Dr. Pat?
I'm Dr. Pat, and I'm here with Mark Anthony.
Hey, Daniela, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I had a question for Mark first.
Go for it.
But Dr. Pat, you could probably jump in too. So,
okay.
My question is, Mark, my late grandmother, when she was alive, had a near-death experience. She lived to tell the tale, and she wrote up the details. But before she died, she and I made a pact that only at her death could our pact be fulfilled. She delivered on her end, and I'm close to delivering on my end. And we made this pact because she had a near-death experience. And I asked her if that when she passed on, that would she send me a message that she was okay, and that she arrived safely, as we always did when we traveled. And I believe she did communicate with me, and my cousins also felt they had a message. She passed in 2005, so it has been a while, but it's taken me this long to fulfill my end of the path.
All right. Hold on, Danielle. Hold on. I got a spirit coming through. Now, sometimes even though you have a set question or what you want to hear, they don't always answer that. Okay. And I'm
That's
getting
okay.
an older female, and they have the reasons why they do this. And I know lots of people, silverware is a real big deal in families and all that, but I'm getting piles and piles and piles of the real thing, the silverware that's tarnished, that's needing to be polished. And there's like this one serving spoon. It almost looks like a clamshell with the handles, almost like a ladle, like an ornate ladle. And it's all this antique silver that she keeps showing me, and she's just like delighted about this. Okay, now I realize that silverware is a big deal for a lot of people, but and silver could have some significance, or there could be something about her silverware that would make sense to you in some way. But what's the key here is she keeps talking about the tarnish has been removed. The tarnish has been removed. Does any of that resonate with you?
Well, yes, because, and this is where Dr. Pat comes in, because the whole pact kind of sent me on a journey to basically clean the crust that has kept me stuck.
Yeah.
And I had to go on this journey with my grandmother, even though she was dead, and it's through letters that she and I wrote to each other over 30 years, real-life letters that she returned to me after her death. And through that process, I have been able to identify my limiting thoughts, which would be the tarnish,
There we go.
and trying to remove it so I could move on and break free from all the things that have been holding me back. And I do feel we're there, but we're not quite there yet. And so I want to make my grandmother proud, and I do believe I've done that. And
Yes.
but I do feel there's some negative spirits that are just lingering with me, and sort of sensitive. And I keep smelling cigarette smoke that kind of follows me, and so I'm wondering if that's kind of the tarnish that's working itself forward. But yeah, I don't know. It may just be something else.
Dr.
But I
Pat,
have this wonderful journey with my grandmother.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, before you give, I want to say,
Go
first
ahead,
off,
Mark.
there are no negative spirits around you. Okay.
Nice.
And I was about to say the cigarette smoke is a male energy, and he had a real hearty laugh, like, not that he's laughing at you. This guy he was I hate to say like a bowl full of jelly to sound like Santa Claus, but this guy had a big hearty laugh. But there's no negative spirits around you. All right, Dr. Pat, over to you.
Well, I love the idea of smoke. Can I tell you a little bit about it? And can I ask you a couple questions about the smoke?
Yes.
Do you smell it, or is it almost like elusive?
It's very disturbing. And it's yucky cigarette smoke. You like when you go to a horrible bar and you come home with it all over your clothes.
Oh my God, now you're bringing up my past. Now you're bringing up my past. Oh my God, do I remember that? The reason let me tell you why I'm asking. I have gone through many rituals, and I've been really fortunate to have some great teachers. And one of the things that I'm associated with in some traditions has to do with fire and smoke. And I've had to study what this means to me, right? What is it about smoke? And I have a love-hate relationship with it. So let me point that to you, and then we'll go right to what I'm about to say to you. While I love smoke and the ritual of smoke and the whole process of smoke, I am a fire keeper when we do rituals, right? That's me. I'm also allergic to smoke. So think about that, right? Here you are, and you are highly allergic to smoke, but yet you are so drawn to it. And so here's what I know about smoke, and you set it right on. You are in the process of burning things off. So you've done a
Mhm.
great job and you're like almost there. When you actually move from the metaphor crust, which is hard, right? You think about it, it's hard and you
Yeah.
know you're busting through it, and you move to smoke, which is a transmutation. Can you see the difference? One is you
Uh-huh.
annihilate that thing to break through. The other one is a transmutation. It means this thing that looked like this is now burning itself off. It's burning itself off because at some point we are really limited in how much crust busting we can really do before we just annihilate
Mhm.
ourselves. And so by being in this
Right.
place of peace where you're open, you're getting some help. I'm going to say something
Yeah.
silly to you, but while you're getting this help, even though it smells awful, and I can give you some tinctures to work with on that, that burning off
Mhm.
should dissipate. It should get less and
So
less
it's a
and
good thing.
less and less. Well, this is my take on it because you no longer have the energy to get the jackhammer and bust through that. You've already done the hard work. You know what it's like? It's like
Mhm.
residual stuff. If you've ever cleaned a
Yeah.
piece of silver, right? You ever silver, we talk about
Yeah.
tarnish. If you ever take tarnish off a blade or silver, there's always that one dang piece that just will not come off, right? There's always just like, you got to be kidding
Right.
me. That's where you are. It's justice. So here's what I want to say to you, just be in the presence of it and thank it.
Mhm.
Thank that energy. And then for yourself, if it becomes unbearable, you may have to get something to clean your house or clean the air or an air purifier or something like that. But that's my sense of it. You've done
Yeah.
really hard work. You've done the hard work.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that's just
I,
burning off the rest.
Thank you,
right.
Daniela.
I,
Really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Boy, do I know about the smoke when that starts to follow me. Oh, doggy. Woo. That's a good thing. But we know what to do with smoke. What do we want to do? Why don't we keep the phones going here, Mark?
I think we should. There's
Yeah.
folks calling in. I'm
I love
ready.
Daniela. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you, Daniela.
All right, next up we've got Mary from Arizona.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Hi, you're
Hi,
live. Welcome to the Psychic and the Doc. Great to have you.
Thank you.
What can we do for you, Mary?
Thank you, Mark.
I'm
I'm sorry.
calling because well, there's kind of a double echo going on.
Do you have your
but
speakers
I'm-
on and you're trying to listen through some other device?
I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, but how are you listening to the show?
Yes, I am.
We'll turn off. Are you listening to the show through your phone or through the computer or something?
Through the phone.
Oh, then you're probably getting the sound feedback in the phone as you're talking. That happens all the time. Yeah, I don't know how to tell you to shut the app, but let's see if we can help you.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that you're talking about smoke because my brother passed away in last June.
I'm sorry to hear
And-
that.
I'm sorry, it's just the echo. But anyway, so I smelled smoke. So funny that you were just talking about this, and I felt him with the smoke probably 3 weeks after he passed away. But it was very comforting. It was like, hey, I'm here. Remember me?
Yeah.
It's good. But actually, my question has more to do with my mother, and I was wondering if there was some situation the other day where I was reaching for something in my cabinet, and the Kleenex popped up from like a Jack-in-the-Box. It just popped out of the box. So I was wondering what that's all about.
I'm sorry, what?
Some Kleenex jumped out of the box?
Yeah, I heard that
It
part. It
popped
was
out.
like, but I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, like a Jack-in-the-Box. Like it just popped out, not completely, but it popped up.
Okay.
Popped up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a frequency beacon. That's one of the concepts that I talk a lot about in my lectures and I write about in my book, Evidence of Eternity. And you are explaining it perfectly, because Mary, when that happened, when that Kleenex popped up out of the box, and you said it was like a Jack in the Box, and you immediately thought of your mother. Why do you think you immediately thought of your mother? That's because her spirit is around you. And a frequency beacon is when a spirit emits an impulse to you. They'll draw your attention to something, and they can and will move things. And so you saw that, you thought of your mom, so that was mom reaching out to you. Very good, Mary.
Yes, and I was thinking, about particularly what I'm doing right now, which is, doing writing. And I was thinking of her at that point. So yes, that's a frequency.
There you go. Well, that's the thing about frequency beacons, and this is not just for you, Mary, but for everybody listening. When something like that happens, or when you go and you turn on the radio and there's that song, or you smell the smoke that reminds you of your brother or whoever it is, or all of a sudden you think you catch a glimpse of somebody out of your peripheral vision, and you immediately think of that person who has passed, that is that spirit sending a frequency beacon, an electromagnetic impulse to you, and you're picking up on it. So go with it. Dr. Pat,
I just want to ask you about the smoke for a minute. This is something you're smelling. Is that correct? You're not actually burning something. You just, it's all around you, so to speak. Is that true?
That's right. It's him. It's to the right of me. Yes.
Okay. And are you okay with that?
Am I okay with it? Very much, yes.
Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to know, because one of the things that I've done, and I didn't say this to Daniela when she was on, but what I do is I like to burn things. Like I'll burn sage, or I'll burn rose, or I'll burn, African violet or something like that. And so usually if I'm hit with the smoke of others, let's say, I sometimes like to match it. I don't know why I do that. Maybe Mark told me that that you should do that to talk to. I don't know.
Yeah, I do burn incense, 2 or 3 times a week. But this is more like, right after he passed away, and I felt like he was just saying, "Hey, I'm here," and he can. It's almost like he could do this. It's like he learned how to navigate the spirit world.
Well, there you go.
It was very cool.
I got to tell you, I love how brilliant you are with this. I love it. I love how brilliant you are. I think we have to do a show.
You and Mark.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
A lot from Mark.
I think we have to do a show on smoke, Mark. One of the upcoming shows. We should really do a show.
Yes, we should. And actually, if we can just talk about it for a moment, because I know we want to get to other callers too, but what Mary's brought up is very important.
Okay.
In the ancient world, we hear about frankincense and myrrh, and in India, sandalwood. What do all of those have in common? When you burn them, their smoke is white. And so in these ancient traditions, you would burn these sacred scents and you would pray, and your intentions would go to the white light, to heaven. And that's where the symbolism comes from. So that's why so many belief systems are centered around burnt offerings.
Yeah.
And so this is very, very important. Anyway, I didn't want to belabor that, but because thank you so much, Mary.
Cool.
Yeah, and it is a sign, by the way. It is a sign. It is a sign. All right? I love this show. Happy April Fools, everybody. Jacob, who do we have?
Next up, we've got Sharon from Florida. Sharon, you're on with the Psychic in the Dock.
Yeah. Hey, Sharon, you're live. I know you're there, Sharon. I know you're there. I can feel you.
How are you? I am here. How are you?
Just batting 1,000.
I'm
batting
here.
1,000.
I'm here. I'm here.
Good.
I'm here.
All right. How can we help you?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Oh, good. So you do hear me.
Loud and clear. 10-4, good buddy.
Perfect. Okay. So here's the thing. It's so interesting that you're talking about lighting candles and things, because tonight I did light a candle because it's my grandfather's, it's a Jewish word, yahrzeit. It's his memorial. So in my family, they're all lighting a candle tonight. Also, I see signs constantly. My brother, who passed away in 1982, I used to ask him to play a Beatles song for me, and it would always be Blackbird. And I'd say, don't you know anything else? But he played it well. And now I see blackbirds, and I say, oh, hi, Daniel. I know it's you, or a dove is another friend of mine that passed away. I just see signs constantly. I look at license plates. It's fun to drive because, I'll get messages, and I just find it fascinating. And, of course, I've lost a lot of loved ones. Parents are gone, brothers gone, and, friends have died. And at my age, it's happening more and more. Anything? What do you have to say? I find Mark very fascinating, and
I do too.
This is the first time I met you, so
wait till you hear what I have to say about Blackbird after he's done. But I'm going to kick you over to Mark first.
Okay, hold on. All right, hold on, Sharon. All right, the male energy which is coming through to me, I'm getting a very abrupt sensation going through my body, and I'm tasting a lot of blood. That doesn't always mean a bleed out, but it could be an internal hemorrhage, and I'm feeling massive impact sensation to my head. When I get a massive impact, okay, is that your brother?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he is like so totally on this. And it's funny because Pat goes, wait till you hear what I have to say about Blackbird. He goes, and he's like, yeah. And the other song that he wants you to listen to from the Beatles is Get Back. Get Back.
Really?
Get Back. Yeah. Get back to where you once belonged. Right. I mean, I'm hearing this and I'm on a rock. Wow. Why is he saying? He wants you to get back to that place of happiness. He said, when you and I just used to sit there, and he said, the two of you would look in each other's eyes and just start cracking up, burst out laughing. You and your brother had a very, very good relationship, a lot of laughs. And he loves you very, very much. And that's what that get back is. Get back to that. All right, Dr. Pat?
Mm-hmm.
So who in your family was the activist?
Well, my brother, for one.
Right.
But
tell me a little bit about it, and I'll tell you why he picked Blackbird. Give me a sense.
I have a lot of relatives. Okay. Well, my background is that my grandfather was like a sixth-generation Jerusalemite. We have a lot of family that goes back generations to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them have moved back there, and that's why my brother died right on the battlefield, as Mark was describing. And so, that Blackbird is, one of the big messages that I get when I see it. I used to not like
go ahead, Dr. Pat.
Now I think
so let me give you the reason. Do you know where that song came from and what inspired McCarthy to write it? It was the song that was recorded on Abbey Road, and it was back in '68. And I was back in New Jersey in that time frame, in the middle of the riots, which really broke out in Plainfield, New Jersey. And the song Blackbird, as it states, it was inspired by McCartney reading a newspaper account of the race riots in the mid-1968. And so he wrote this song, Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You're only waiting for this moment to arise. And the song is about rising up. The song happened to be, he happened to be touched by what was going on here in the United States. And if you read some of the lyrics of this, I mean, I can only imagine the gift that this song was to you, right? Because you think about it, it can apply to any generational, race or religion or spiritual practice that have been oppressed.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yes. Oh, when it comes on the radio, I go, hi, Daniel. And there's another song that comes on, which is Daniel.
Oh,
John.
yeah.
Elton John.
Radio,
Yeah.
and then Daniel comes on.
Oh, I cry.
And,
That song comes on, I cry.
Yeah.
I cry.
I get messages from so many,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been into this for years. I had a reading by Mark, and I want to tell you this, Mark. This is 7 years ago. You said something to me about my mother, and you said, your brother and mother will be very pleased to greet. No, your brother and grandmother will be very pleased to greet your mother. I'm not saying she's dying right away, but this is what I see. Well, that was September 3rd of 13. September 7th of 13, my mother passed away 4 days later. And you were seeing dried roses, and then I thought about it much later. And on her stone, where she's buried, we do have a rose on each side engraved
Oh, my
into the
goodness.
stone. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's a
Sharon,
dried
thank
stone.
you.
I mean,
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
yeah.
And,
And please go look at the lyrics of that song. I didn't read them all.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
please go ahead and check that out. Would you do that? I think you'll really resonate to it. And I think it'll bring you closer and closer, to those that have passed, but certainly the message and the legacy that they're handing the torch here. So thank you for calling in. Wow. I want to take a moment. Yeah, beautiful. I want to take a moment just to do a little online live break. For those of you that don't know, this is the Psychic and the Doc. I'm here with Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. Before we continue, and we're going to keep rolling, how do people find out about you? Tell folks what you're up to. You got any new books? You're like the book machine.
I am, and I do. Also, speaking of writers, Dr. Pat and I just co-authored an article for a special edition of Best Holistic Life magazine. And I encourage everybody to sign up for Best Holistic Life magazine, and it's free. There's no catch.
Cool.
bestholisticmagazine.com. And if you want to schedule a one-on-one private reading with me, which is over the phone, evidenceofeternity.com is my website, same as my book, Evidence of Eternity. Also, Never Letting Go is my first book, and my next book is coming out this October. Also, when people go to my website, I invite everyone to sign up for the newsletter, because this is going to keep you up to date on episodes of The Psychic and the Doc and other things that Dr. Pat and I are doing. All of that at evidenceofeternity.com. So
we're just warming up, folks. I just want to tell you, we're just warming up. Somebody said to me the other day, when are you two going to do like a 8-hour seminar? And I thought, can I have a potty break if we do that? That was the first thing that came to my mind. It was like, I didn't even budge about doing 8 hours. I was just like, had a moment of, when do we get to take a potty break? But that's for another show. Jacob, you ready to roll?
Yep, sounds good to me. We have Russell from Alaska up next.
Hi, Russell.
Hey, Russell, you're on with the Psychic and the Doc.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, what part of Alaska?
Hey, man, it's how you doing? I'm Russell. I'm calling from Anchorage, Alaska.
Yes,
it's
sir.
All right.
8:30 in the afternoon.
Great to have you on here. Hey, how can we help you?
Well, today's a special day for me.
Okay.
It's my 44th day in Alaska. I've been here for a long, long time. I've been enjoying y'all's show. Called myself an April Fool and for showing up here, but it's worked out for me. So I've been following y'all's show for a while, and I was just looking for a reading.
Can I tell you before you go off to do Mark with the reading? This is a compliment. You got what I call yippee skippy energy. You've got that energy. Wow. You got that yippee skippy energy. And how do I know it? I'm so drawn to it. You'd be the kind of person, if I walked into a coffee shop and you were sitting in there, you'd be all over that. I could see your smile from here. No complaining about the cold. No complaining about Alaska.
Much. I've worked real hard. Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you, you wear it well. Let me turn you over to Mark.
Hey, Russell. Okay. Russell, I got a male energy coming through connected to you, and it could be, when I talk about levels, if someone's on your level, that's like your generation, but I get like a level above yours. Okay, so this could be like a parent, uncle, or maybe a friend that was older. And what I'm getting with him is this weird sensation in my fingers. my fingertips. So there was like a numbness and tingling in his fingers and in his toes. So with his extremities, this is indicating circulation, very possibly peripheral neuropathy. And I'm getting this taste in my mouth. When I say I'm getting a sense of dehydration and something of a metallic taste, which is an indicator to me that he was probably on some pretty intense medications prior to passing. And poor guy, he knew that he was going down because I'm getting that his passing was not quick. Took him down a click at a time, getting a very heavy feeling throughout his body. I feel like my heart is like atrophying. It feels like his heart, like parts of it just feel hard. So clearly there was a cardiovascular issue and certainly with circulation. I could keep going and going with the symptoms. He's a good communicator. Does any of this make sense to you?
It does. It does. I just lost a close personal friend. He's about 7 years older than me. Fishing buddy for 25 years, and I was hoping to hear from him.
Well, there you go. Okay, hold on. Hold on. He said he still has your keys. He still has your keys. He still has your keys. What is it with you guys and the keys? There's some funny story about the keys.
Well, he kept up with my house. I own a home in Malabar, Florida, too. And he was my next door neighbor, and I always brought him up to Alaska to fish with me. And he kept track of my property. And he had my keys to everything.
Perfect. So that's a validation, because we're on a time budget tonight. That's what's called a verifiable fact following the message. In other words, when a spirit comes through and gives us messages, advisory and explanatory, so he identified himself. And then when they followed up with an objectively verifiable fact, the keys, which you immediately associate and recognize, that verifiable fact's how he's letting you and I know that we've properly received and interpreted the message. And he wants you to know this. He said, he loves you like a brother, loves you like a brother. The two of you, it's like we had no secrets, we had no problems. He was my bud. He wants you to know that.
Yeah, he was. And, I thank you for conveying that. I was looking for something, to verify that there was something there.
One last thing. He's holding up a real big lure, one of those real shiny lures. It's kind of like oval shaped with points on it. It's a type of lure like when you're cast fishing and you want, the lure to be real shiny and sparkly. So it's like a real fast fish is going to hit it. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does. He gave me his fishing box, and in there I found 3 or 4 lures that match that description.
Perfect. So, man, this guy is so totally around you. And he just said, Philip.
And I ended up buying his boat. I bought his boat from him and everything, and I was with him up until the minute he died.
Wow.
Took him to breakfast every day of his life till he died.
Oh, cool. So, Dr. Pat, you got anything?
The only thing I have is that, boy, I'll tell you, you are a being of love. And there's no question about that. And, the kindness and your commitment and dedication and love, I can only imagine what it's like for him not to be around. But you certainly carry his spirit, and you certainly carry the energy of true friendship. And, you can't make that stuff up. You just have it in you. Thank you, Russell, for calling in today.
Yeah, bless you, Russell.
Thanks for the reading, and I appreciate y'all's show. Thank you very much.
You betcha.
God bless you.
Jacob, I think we have time. For one more, Mark, huh?
Absolutely.
I think so too. We've got Darren from Florida.
All right.
Darren from Florida.
Hi, Darren. Darren, you're live. It's a shock sometimes to realize you're live. Hey, Darren, are you there? So we get back to Darren.
Yeah,
we'll get. I know you've got a bunch of other folks waiting. Darren, we get back to you. What else do you have?
Next up, we've got Shanna from Las Vegas.
Oh, Darren, is that you now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Good to have you, Darren, from Florida, right?
Yes. So it seems like a lot of people from Florida tonight.
And then we got that Alaska call. So there we go. We got like one end, one over there, and like completely like the other end here. How can we help you today?
Yeah. Okay. I would like a reading if Mark is able to tap in, but I also wanted to briefly add to the conversation, the subject you were talking about earlier. And you were discussing betrayal and how ironic that is April Fool's. And I didn't think of this, but I went through something it started about 3 years ago. And it was something where it was, I'm sure you both are very familiar with synchronicity. And it was a lot of synchronicity involved in me connecting with this individual. It was a romantic connection. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like to me, it looked like it was meant to be. Like I found the love of my life, finally. Yeah. I found the love of my life. And there was so much seeming like spiritual evidence to back that up. And then something happened where, I'll just put it like this, spiritually the rug was ripped out. They just snatched out from under me. And I have been so angry and disappointed, and I felt so much betrayal. I have, one night I was just laying here in my bed just shaking, and my body was literally cold. That's the abandonment that I felt. And this situation is so incredibly hurtful, deeply, deeply hurtful and heartbreaking to me, and I have not gotten over it. And I've turned in on myself. I've gone into addiction, heavy, self-harm, self-sabotage. And I don't want to do it, but I keep doing it because there's just something in me that just won't stop. I'm punishing myself. I'm blaming myself for the situation not working out. And so in that way, it feels so much like betrayal, even from the universe. Like it feels like God did pull the April Fool's joke on me. It feels like the universe pulled a big April Fool's joke on me. It's not funny to me. Yep. And so that's just to add to the conversation. That's all I'll say.
I want to address this before you go to Mark. And here's what I want to say without taking a lot of airtime. You probably were describing an experience I went through at the end of a 14-year relationship. You were just literally describing that. And I look back at that now, and I'm not going to give you an easy fix for it. I just want to share this with you, just so you take it in. And I thought every part of my body would follow the pathway of my family. And I buried all of the female family members, addiction, drugs, food, you name it. And every part of me thought that was going to be the way. Now, here's the punchline. I look back now at where I am in my life, and I will tell you this. I would not be here. I wouldn't be doing this show with Mark. I would have been constrained to really stand up and stand out and be me. I would have been second guessing myself, and I could go on. And I don't know if that's going to help you, but I do know that whatever happened to end that relationship for me was some kind of guardian angel giving me what I needed at the time so that I could live the life. And that was freeing for me to know that, because you can't afford to, and I can't afford to be shackled by anger and resentment of an event that we no longer have control over. Mark, what do you have?
Darren, I'm getting a male energy coming through connected to you. And I don't necessarily want to say it's a father, but he is a very paternalistic way towards you, very caring. And what I'm getting about him, when he died, I got this shockwave because it feels like there's an explosion in my head, and I'm seeing a flash of light inside my head. So this indicates to me this could have been a stroke, could have been an aneurysm, but this is one of those, whatever took him hit him really, really quickly. Plus my head is just pounding, pounding, pounding. Does this make any sense to you?
It does, and I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so let's get him. Interesting. He's giving me the term doubting Thomas, and that's strange because it's, it's Holy Thursday, Easter, and all this. Doubting Thomas. And this could be somebody connected to you or him with a name like Tom or Thomas, or it could be a last name. But the concept here is that you're doubting yourself and your resolve and your fortitude, and that everything that you've gone through with the betrayal is showing you, he said it's a purification process so that you can go through these doubts, these insecurities, and what it's actually doing is opening up this new door for you to a clear mindset, a clear view, and the ability to see deeply into the heart of somebody who loves you. So wow. That's an unusual but really kind of cool message.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the person you're talking about, who I think you're talking about, because this person actually died of a heart attack. It was sudden, but it looked like he had a stroke, like when he was.
Yeah, the stroke heart attack combo. Yeah. That's fine. Now let's focus on the message. What does that mean to you?
Well, I met the person I just described that the heartbreak happened. I met that individual at his funeral. That's where I met him. That's where it started 3 years ago. And he died suddenly, and then I went to his funeral, and then that's when it's kind of like following me down the rabbit hole, Alice. But it does mean that, because all of my insecurities came up with this person who, like, I experienced a heartbreak over. That's what it was all about. I walked on eggshells completely every second with this person. I always doubted myself. I never trusted him. I never trusted that he really loved me or that he was really interested in me. And all of my insecurity came up. I felt like I was not good enough. I still go through that. I feel like that's the only reason I'm not with this person is because I was not good enough for him. And so.
Well, my interpretation is all these awful things that you went through were so that you're not going to go through them again. And in the next relationship, you're going to be able to spot that betrayer. Okay. And don't be a doubting Thomas about yourself. Have faith.
You are good enough. Listen to me. You are good enough. How do I know that you are on a different pathway? You called into this show, and you called into this show completely authentic, open, vulnerable. And that really, to me, is a sign of a shift in direction for you. It is time for you to stand tall now. You are more than good enough. You are more than good enough. And it's now time for you to acknowledge that part of yourself and stand tall and firm in the conviction of that. If you did nothing else, that's the first step. Because when these relationships end like they do, and we're blindsided by them, so to speak, we have to pick up the pieces. And I want you to really say to yourself over and over and over again, I am more than good enough, because you are. And start to make that pivot today. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Bless you, Darren.
What a great show. So many blessings. Boy, I'll tell you, if we had more time, we could talk more about betrayal. But you get to a turning point, and that's a turning point. Mark, how do we find out about you? Jacob, thank you. And thank all of you for tuning us in and turning us on.
evidenceofeternity.com, and sign up for my newsletter and find out about our show next week, our World Health Day show.
There we go. And enjoy this song. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into The Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on transformationtalkradio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on The Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.